Today is day 7 October 2022. To come a little closer, we'll have a conversation quite simple, quite clear. We will report things we did. First of all, I will complain and tell you something quite clear and straight. I think that have the transference as misconcepts about my personality and things I do and believe since 2018 at least is something that for sure is not in my opinion it's not okay. I I'm really against everything that in some way is trying to be associated and form an image about my personality, and of course that if I'm trying to present something as someone that is kind of a free shooter, I would say, and I must present this because in a way things had developed in Brazil, of course that you have no chance. In the same way, in a conjuncture held by criminals, I have no expectation as be paid, especially if I'm doing anti-crime research and effort. I did all things by myself with my own effort, and I had to, take the risks as consequence of my choice to do not change who I am. And I think that on present time, in the way things are and got offered, presented, evidenced, and proven, we have nobody has any doubt that the offender is inside the debtor system, indeed and view a criminal system, not only by the fraud against the credit, but by everything you did since 1988 on Brazil, and if you did the cross-cut with America as 1920, you had good chances to understand Europe and the entire conjuncture we offered. The model as the pandemic design and the cross-cut using the unview theory as judicial theory in USA, and functional estimative as index to cross and have the approach with the areas related with but not explicit presented at the center. And this is the idea of the holographic business model, which indeed is a business, but at the same way an accusation as a deeper level. We are supporting the project Enact, especially on Africa. You have total conditions nowadays to chase and persecute the offenders at that system, sometimes once in a while connected with Brazil, Europe, and North America. It means the entire global conjuncture, especially with Asia players on that area, and acting by the same way in all areas. It doesn't mean which is the behavior of the crime. It's always against the law. And you must have this quite clear, the division, a segmentation macro, if it's against the law, has no guarantees, or if what we did presented that this 1 trillion as transference is all legal accord with the law. 1 trillion is inside the first 3 trillion, 50-50 with the other financial services, and I have the proportion, I would say, as transference and as investment decision. If I, for instance, will receive 10 billion, I will transfer, and they will deserve 5 billion as America, and I will have as decision capital remaining like 2.5 billions until have two more operations like this, and two sequence as payroll, which is investment, as 2.5 billion to Europe. By this was we observed as the urbanism, the security, and the stamp as accreditation royal stamp. Of course, that if you are an offender, and this is something that affected we all, except if you are the offender, you are the threat, you are the menace, You can't obtain advantage, investment, or something by the aggressions you make. And in the same way, this is not a payment or something like this. This is a compensation and legal right, considering the interest on it, under the judicial analysis of a judicial power if legitimacy to do this, since it's not related at public budget. Brazil clustering you all as offenders, and if goes as blood tie and other kind of things as heritage to keep the criminal career inside the organization that you belong, of course that you come since 1920 and before maybe, but having only the present time and the model we have, the cross-cut, you only have as need to get one by the interconnection of them all inside the pandemic crimes and advantage you took from against public area and cooperative area and even the international area, shaking the global stability. Having only one, you can have the conviction as plea bargain, confession, and trial by jury cases that the judicial law in the United States allow this. And the suggestion was quite clear after all have the harassment case as 1 billion, as considering the industrial crime as economic espionage and others, and harassment in the same way. It's something that you do even covered and hidden inside the institution that kept you all inside, trying to change the aspects and elements of my personality, putting me as a sexual offender, a terrorist, a drug dealer, a criminal, white collar criminal, or whatever. And something so constant that I don't like, you know. And by since I don't like, in the same way I don't like the monk business in Brazil, and in the way Brazil do things, considering all things, I do not belong to this. I only live here because I have no choice. This is, the general note that I would like to expose today. Our conversation is over. This issue is delivered. It's the holographic business model because it's a business model to support the accusation. It's a financial research, the second one. Brazil had no cooperation, no interest, and upheld the law since the very early days of this. We got in touch with the Federal Bureau of Investigation at least since 2014. Brazil had in many moments the issues, and during all period got in touch with the issues by violation, not respecting my privacy, my property, my basic rights, my guarantees, nothing. And in the same way you could observe this, a judicial power having the case that didn't respect a moral entity as international committee, didn't respect your constitution, didn't respect the judicial power of the United States, because the criminal as a criminal behavior, especially by the misuse of state power, won't have the interest and will not respect nothing. We proved this. And by this, all this proved, this effort as holographic business model is closed. You have 2 financial researches made. You have all segments qualified with individualizations by chairs, and you have the cowardice from now, something that you can deny, to apply the consequence, since the elements got, nominated and with specific crimes pointed to them. The first one is the corruption, the angle-stone of all these, and especially the pandemic crime, and the obstruction of justice and the misuse of the institutional power is the most relevant element to keep all this covered. Almost 10 minutes, we'll finish here. Have a nice weekend.